Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're enjoying the Weatherman series, please drop a like. I need to know if you guys mess with this story or not. And if you're new here or intrigued, go check out my Weatherman playlist. Trust me, it is batshit crazy. Now, let's get into it, because we have lost a brother of a big lovable giant sacrificed himself to protect his friends. Well, his ex, if we're being honest. But just before they could even mourn, they saw something coming from the sky at high speeds. It was a package, like a care package in Call of Duty. And we see a goofy-ass scientist pulling up to come and pick up this package, only for him to turn around and see our crew ready to take his head off. Heading back to his base, we find out that he used to work with the scientists who took Nathan's memories, and they were working on a cure. They wanted to heal the world. But their way of doing things was very, very messed up. Human experimentation for the greater good is still freaking terrible. So it was clear they didn't even like him straight off the bat, only for him to make it clear that he doesn't have the memories. It should probably be in the other base. And yeah, to get into that base, you need DNA. They were willing to cut it out of him right here, right now. But thankfully, Nathan vouched for him and said, please, no killing. But this was a mistake because he called for help. This dude just wanted to stay behind and continue to experiment on folks. He didn't want the help. And worst of all, he was a terrible person because thankfully Amanda saw some spacecrafts coming in and dumping actual human beings for the monster to consume. He was feeding the virus, so the virus will be satiated. Now usually they would just end him right here, but they had a mission to complete and they needed him. But the little weasel called for help. Marshall instantly sensed that they were surrounded, and they really were. Invisible cloaks were removed and we see a group of mercenaries ready to take all of them out. But they must have not known Marshall was like that, because he gave White the sign and told everyone to close their eyes, and she went off like a goddamn grenade. They were blinded, and in that split second, they took off heads. But not just that, they took the scientist as well and instantly took off. They were not waiting for nobody. While this was going on, the president was still going through it. I mean, she was trying to do good, but people just wanted power. Back on the ship, though, we discovered the relationship between this mutant bear and this little girl. The mutant bear was part of the virus, and they had a symbiotic relationship. The relationship was simple. The bear gets to eat her piece by piece, and at the same time, it protects her. So yeah, that's the relationship. Pathetic. But now, shit was about to hit the fan because the boss was here, and she knew exactly where they were headed to because that scientist left the PC on. So, it was time for action. It was time for revenge. But in the midst of all this, we had forgotten that Amanda lost someone important. She was in his room checking for something, and Marshall used the opportunity to check in on her, revealing part of his past that he knew Ian when they were younger. They were mercenaries together. That is why he knows that Ian is bloodthirsty and truly evil. But this story had a meaning behind it. He was trying to let her know to stop with the narcotics thing. Focus on the mission because people are dying. But she couldn't. She lost someone important to her, someone who meant the world to her, all because of this goddamn mission. But she was a soldier, so she powered through. Because the next day, it was time to teach Nathan how to at least shoot a gun. And he was terrible. But then he decided to shoot it his own way, and he took multiple shots, and he only got one. And that made him very excited. But the thing is, Marshall had good eyes. Wielding his katana, he split the tree in half and realized that that one shot was multiple shots, shot in the exact same spot. Such perfect aim. Ian was returning, and now it was time for the mission. With the scientists on hand, they were able to gain access to the lab. This lab, however, was a home to a variety of monsters that were infected with this virus. And because of this, they were starting to break out of their containment, splitting up the group into two parts. Amanda and the scientist decided, okay, we're going to get the hard drives. All of you cover this location. And they really had a job to do because this location was already compromised. Remember, she had access to this lab as well. This scientist already betrayed them. Why did she think it was cool to waltz in here and take whatever they want? Nathan, realizing this was a setup, didn't know what to do. He tried to hide. He couldn't fight. He was too shy. He tried to hide, only to find exactly what they were looking for. But before he could take it, they came. The guards came, unleashing a hailstorm of bullets exactly where he was hidden, but for some reason they missed every shot. Ian was coming back. The guards took everything, all the hard drives. They even took his friends, leaving him behind to die on this desolate world. He had no choice but to freeze to death. But before he could go, he saw someone in the snow. He saw himself, his true self. He saw Mr. Black. Mr. Black called him a fraud, told him he deserves to die, and he felt the same way because a zombie horde was coming. This world he killed will be the one to kill him. He gave himself to the horde. His friends, well, they were in the base of their captors, and we see that this group was not a group of mercenaries, no. They were prisoners left behind to die, and they came together and chose her as their leader. Now they serve a purpose. Now they will be sacrifices to find a cure and save this world. We also see that things aren't just rosy in this prison system, but more on that later. Right now, they had other things to be worried about because an unidentified spacecraft was coming into base. They were ready to mow down anyone that wasn't an ally. And they saw it was an ally, but he really wasn't, because on his back, he was strapped up to the gills with remote control bombs that went off in an instant, killing everyone on the spot, charring them to corpses, including the carrier. But the carrier could heal. The carrier was Nathan, and he was ready to rumble.